finishing touches. These are one of the last pieces of vinyl wrap to go on the bike, the new bike. This is going to go on the forks like this. It's going to come up nice and high here. That's why there's that curve in there, because this gets often damaged leaning against things and stuff. When you're on your bike, parking it, and getting back on and getting off and getting on. Just going to mark that height with sellotape. Get it as central as you can there. Forget about the cables for now, because we're not going to see the seam on the other side. Can't see the thing I'm lining it up with, can I? Because it's being covered up by it there. Let's go bottom up now. Just let it go past that cable. So that's going to protect it right the way up to here. I've got a brake block in the way there. Need to get round that. That'll go round. Lolly stick job. Lolly stick, something like that. Push it through there. There's going to be creases on the back, but that's not where you're going to see. This whole thing of wrapping vehicles, really it's a car thing. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to be doing it with a bicycle. But it just makes perfect sense. It was either this or paint it, and first of all the paint's going to devalue the bike in a way, isn't it? And secondly, it's harder to do. I'm going to put it level with the tyre. That's good enough. But that's a different colour from that, because this distracts from it. And we've done that all over it. The other one in place here. You can see on the back there are some gaps, and that's because these forks don't just taper, they actually widen and then they taper back in again. That was a difficult line to get right. I was never going to get it right, and I didn't really care too much. It's actually better in some ways if there's a gap rather than that they meet too closely, because if they meet too closely it can start to unpeel where they're both vying for the same spot, you know, like there. They just touched, and that's what you want. If they came any closer, then they're going to be potentially unsticking each other, moving each other apart. So again, we just use this lolly stick type thing to just in there and behind the brake. Just doing this bit down here. You know, you should really take the brake blocks off, but can I be bothered? No, I cannot. And we've got a bubble down there, so we're just gonna make sure we come right the way over. Just rolling it in the same direction always. Round and around. See, although that looks ugly to you there, you don't really see the inside of the forks on a bicycle, to be honest. You see them now because I've got a torch shining at it, and you're right down here looking through the wheel, but you would not normally notice that. It is imprecise, but we're not worried about it. We just acknowledge it. Yes, it's imprecise. Yes, the forks are not perfect cylinders, and that's why. But this outer side, that's the side that we want to be perfect. And then the army sticker's going to go on there anyway. So that's the two forks done now. I think the first fork I did a better job. Normally, when you're doing something for the first time, it's your first one that's the bad one. So it's the front forks wrapped now, the logo covered there, top tube covered, because that gets the most damage, leaning against things. These diagonals, I don't know what you call those struts there, but you see they're wobbly on this bike. They're not damaged, that's how they are. It makes the bike more springy, it makes the handling fantastic. But getting wrap on it is going to be difficult. I mean, I actually ought to do those as well, because the chain sometimes goes around that back wheel and sits on those, so they probably need more wrap than just where the logo was. Got a couple of little bolts there, that's what the holes are for. So what I do is I get a piece of sellotape and I go round the bar. Put a mark on the sellotape, go around it till I go over the mark, put another mark, and when I take the sellotape off, that is my circumference length. This stuff's actually quite easy to manage and handle. I've got two cables here, this is going to be tricky because of that. So just lining up with those holes to start with. It'll go under that cable all on its own. Don't need to worry. It's not something you want to rush, this. Now I've got my trusty wooden spoon here. Just push it under the cable. Most of the bike has now become indigo. You see, it was already originally this colour, which we decided was Skoda, some sort of Skoda racing blue. I think it's actually also quite close to the Tahiti blue, which was the colour of Ford Escorts in the 1980s. You might remember Pierce Brosnan driving one in the Fourth Protocol. That tube is now done. Why was it done as two pieces? Because this one was originally done and I wanted to have this line on the graphics and leave some of that pink on there to make a clear break there. Just trying to make this not look like a wrapped bike. I'm trying to make it look like that's the colour it is. And we've just basically hidden every logo on the bike now. We've still got Tawny logos on the lever shifters, which I'm going to leave because they're Tawny is mid-range, it's not high-end, but the last thing we need to cover up is this word here. It's going to have to be painted, I think. Going to have to buy a match pot of black paint or something for that. Yeah, we're doing the final bit here. I decided I would do that, so I took the sticker off, put that on, and I've done that one. And now we're just doing this one. This has been marked up on some transparent library book cover stuff, PVC, which I'm struggling to peel off actually. I cut it exactly to match. I mean, that's the whole idea. You see, you're cutting this. I can draw on the library film. Don't want to draw on the actual film. So now I've got to peel off the library film, if you see what I mean. I've got to peel off the library film that did all the marking up with, because your marking up is never accurate, so we had to do quite a few passes with that. So now we can peel off the library film. And if it rips, off comes the library film. Again, it's an old trick, to remove backing is to get a piece of sticky tape and pull it off with sticky tape, but it doesn't always work. So there we are, we've got bubbles. We do have a bubble or two here, but that's alright. The overall look is pretty good. Spatula. Get it under. Does that look good? I think it does. We don't want to damage the paint on the actual bike with all these blades and things. That's what I don't like about watching people wrapping cars. The way they use those blades. I've not been doing any of that. I've been much more careful. I think that side's so close, we're going to let that go. That side's good. Ah, we've got a crinkle. Let's just get that one down and then we'll get the crinkle out. Oh, I've torn it. It shouldn't matter. Just remember, this is protective, this stuff, so if you do tear it, well, it's done its job, hasn't it? So that's the top of the tube wrapped now. How's it look on it? Oh, it's folded over itself quite nicely there. I got the distance wrong, but it's actually folded over itself beautifully with that angle. So that's all okay. I'm happy with that. Doesn't look like a wrapped bike anymore. The most unwrapped part is probably just that little bit there near the brake caliper. or that bit down there, which possibly is a bit more obvious from the other side. I could actually wrap that little bit there. So here's the finished wrapping. Very hard to see, especially on video where the different is, but like that's the original bike paint to there. This is wrap. That's original bike paint, that's wrap. Possibly should have done it so that this sticker would come over that line, but the thing is I wanted that line really high because to protect the forks the most. Here incidentally, here's the original badge off the bike. It's just one of those sticky foam things, just pulled off. So I've got a perfect original Pinnacle badge there. I'll probably sell that on eBay for 15 quid, but I'll probably hang on to it. Top tube done. Bit of tape here to sort of hide the brake a little bit, disguise it slightly. Didn't do the same there. It's all you know, you choose each on its merits, each decision. The saddle post has Pinnacle etched into it, actually etched, so that's covered. I did do these curved forks in the end. We did some darts. I cut some darts into this and then taped all the way along the back with insulation tape, so the darts all meet on the other side. Didn't need darts for this because this was done in two pieces, because originally I just did the Pinnacle logo there, which was there. We just had it on one side, just on this one bar here on this one side, oddly enough. I can feel a bubble popping around. So when I came to do this bit, didn't need darts. Yeah, we've got a bit of an air bubble in there. It's probably from that Pinnacle sticker, not allowing it to stick quite right. And of course, this one was the hardest one to do because this has already got a tiny bit of chain oil. Not much, just enough though, just enough chain grease to cause a problem. Of course that ends there. Didn't bother taping it there because I didn't want to make it look too much like there's a black join at every single join on the bike. That would look untidy. Which is why that one's aligned with the tyre, so it sort of disappears. Anyway, all in all, I'm quite pleased with it. Not a logo in sight, just army stickers. The whole idea is, of course, to put people off thinking that my bike's worth anything, and to think that maybe the person who owns it isn't to be messed with. You know, here there was a Pinnacle along here. This is just black insulation tape. Put the bell back on. You'd never know it was there. So there it is. One fully wrapped and anonymised Pinnacle bicycle. That's my new bike now. There is poor old Ghost, looking very sorry for herself. She's got that Voodoo Graphics on there. I do still have copies of the Voodoo Graphics, only in green, and although I think it would look great in green on the blue, they've lost their sticking, so we're going to have to get some new graphics for the bike, because I do want something on that tube to make it distinct and unbadged.